let's talk today about, do you know that there was something in our website that it was telling that you had your bachelor's degree in law, but that's not true, right?
No, sociology. Yeah, sociology.
Sociology. Okay, because I don't know where, I don't know if it was some translations on the word of advocate that it was
Probably.
misunderstood, and then we already put it right, because my husband was telling me and I said no, that's not true. It's
No.
not true. So we were discussing that. So your bachelor's degree was in sociology. So
Mhm.
uh the bachelor's degree, as you know, it's different here in Brazil, because here we already go to specific colleges. Like I went to law school and I studied for 5 years. When you enter, you already have to know what you will do. In the US, this process is different, right?
Very different. Yeah. So basically, anybody can go to a college, and if you can get in, so you complete high school, and you apply to a college and they let you in. You don't have to even declare what you want to study for the first 2 years of college. So it's
Is
different in
around
that way.
17, 18, you guys go
18.
to college? 18? Because
Most
some,
most kids 18.
okay, because we have kids here who goes at 17.
Yeah. I mean, we have some if they were really young for their, grade or whatever, but
Hmm.
the most common is you start college and you're 18 years old.
Okay. So you can go and not know what you want. You go to college, you don't have to decide.
Yes. You can even change your mind if you did know. So if you say, oh, I want to study law, and then 1 year into it, you're like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. You just change. You just speak to somebody and they fill out a form and they change it for you.
And they change all your courses
Yep.
together.
Yep.
Okay.
You can do it in like 10 minutes. It's not even that difficult. Yeah.
Okay. So when you went to school, you had still not decided what you wanted.
Now, no, my parents were born outside of the United States. And in this country, in the United States, we really put a high value on education, especially if if you were from a country that you never got to go to college. So my parents always said I had to go, but they never told me what to study.
Just
So I
go.
didn't know it. Yeah, they just said, just get to one of them, doesn't matter which one. And that's what I did.
Okay. So after the 2 years is when you decided to go to sociology. And why
Yeah.
sociology? Because this is so open and philosophical to me.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, the introduction class I took in college. And uh, I guess because I didn't really know what to pick, but I knew I had to pick something. Wasn't going to pick something that was very narrow, like a business degree. You're going to go work for a company, or a law degree. You're going to go be a lawyer. I didn't know, so I didn't want to pick something I would hate. So I picked the thing that most folks pick when they don't know what else to do: sociology and psychology.
Okay. Do you know that here in Brazil, what we do when you don't know what to pick, we pick up law?
Really? I mean,
Yes,
but what if you hate law?
but law, it opens the doors for you. Like you can go to work on public administration, you will have a good payment. Like that's the, like in my, when I went to college, it was on 2005 when I entered to college. So that it was the common thing to do. Like if you don't know, I was in between business and law. But law, like it opens you the doors, it makes you a good citizen, you will have many opportunities. So that's what they
Oh,
think.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't do that. I didn't do that, but
Psychology, like no one here will do, because psychology is a course that is more expensive.
oh, I didn't know, huh?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's the go-to here. But it doesn't open any doors for you. Like sociology doesn't really leave you qualified to have any sort of job. Uh, so you're so you went to college, you learned a bunch of things, but you can't really, all you can do is go to graduate school or do something that has nothing to do with your degree. And that's all you can
So
do.
you stayed in college for sociology. It's a bachelor degree.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
you went 4 years?
Five. I
Five.
graduated in
Wow.
2008. Yeah.
Okay, so 5 years. So it's so funny when you guys say like I will go to grad school, because for us it's like grad school is is law. Like when I did law is the
Sure.
perception that I have, like, no, okay, I went to grad school and I did law, like it was my bachelor's degree. That's grad school. It's so funny. I always have to turn it and turn off and think, okay, he's saying grad school, he's talking about masters, right?
Yes. Yeah. Masters are higher. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's funny because it's really different. Uh so almost everyone, when they leave like university, they go to do some kind of uh grad school, like master or doctoral.
You almost have to. Depends on what you do. Like there's people that graduate and they get their, bachelor's in business and they go work on, in the banking system or on Wall Street in New York, or, there's people that go for uh, different jobs, that accounting, those kind of jobs that you just go right into the workforce. But if you want to work with
Law,
kids,
law, they
you have to go
go.
to law school. They go to graduate school.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So a lot of folks end up having to, also because since the bachelor's degree is much more common, it almost doesn't really separate you. So getting a good job, or even a job with, a decent paycheck is much more difficult comparatively to other countries. You know.
It's totally different. It's so funny to see this difference. Like, what were people thinking when they set this system, and what were they thinking when they set the system
Yeah.
here? Because it's so different. Because here we do like 5 years of law school, and then you go and pass your board. That's all you have to do. So like law, they do like a bachelor degree, and then they go to law school, and then they will go to pass their boards exams.
Okay. Yeah. Here it's much longer. So you get your bachelor's, then you take something called the LSAT, and then you apply to law school, and then you go 2 more years of law school, then you take that exam, and then you can go try to get a job somewhere.
Okay. And teacher, like, yeah, you went to do your master, so you went out to the
First I
university.
worked. First I tried to
Oh,
find a job and I couldn't find one. And then I got hired to to be a teacher's assistant for a 20-year-old woman with autism, like in a school. So I
but
did
were you
that.
looking for this kind of job, or like you were looking for a
No,
job?
I was just looking for any job really. But that came up, and in where I lived at that time, the pay was terrible, but the medical benefits, because in the United States we don't get those like you guys do, or anywhere else in the world,
You are in
was really
trouble
good. It
if
was
you
a really
don't.
good, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You're in big trouble because if you get sick, you'll never be able to see a doctor. So the school job working with that kid was really good, and it was flexible enough that if I wanted to go to school at night or if I wanted to get a part-time job, I would be able to. So I took the job, but I didn't know anything about autism or anything about really kids in general at that time. I just did it.
Wow. You went to jump in a adult with autism like super easy because you are in a very different spot of situations
Yeah, I
with
mean,
an
it was a lot
adult.
of it was no choice. And then, I knew I liked kids. I mean, when I saw them, I thought they were cute. They were nice. I liked them, but I had no, I didn't know what autism or anything of that sort was at the time. Yeah.
And then how you went to this job and you started to learn things.
Yeah, I worked with a behavior analyst there, and she was really good. And she would say, do things this way. And if I did them that way, everything worked really well. And if I didn't do them that way, nothing worked well. So I knew she was an important person to listen to. So I did. And one day she said to me, she's like, hey, you've gotten really good at this. You should really think about continuing your education and learning more about applied behavior analysis, which I didn't even know what it was. And they have schools that you can enroll in and you can get the credits, and then, I'll supervise you and you can get your certificate. And she's like, I think you'd be really good at it, so you should think about it. So that's what I did, because she was an excellent, or is an excellent behavior analyst, and everything she ever said to me was right. So why would this be wrong? That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
you believe
So I
in it.
applied to, yeah, so I believed her, and I applied to the 15 credit Penn State ABA program online. And I did that. And that's how I got started more into it.
So you did your master's online
Not yet. So
no.
I got, no, I was going to get a BCABA and just work
Okay,
in the
okay.
school. So I would have got
You
a promotion. I would have got a raise, but
okay.
I wouldn't have had the master's. So I actually did that first, and I got a BCABA.
You did like a coursework.
Yeah, I did the 15 credit courses because
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be enough. And then when I was at Penn State online, I met my advisor for my PhD, and he said to me, hey, you should get a master's degree and then come to Penn State for your PhD. And I thought about it, and I did end up doing that. But then after I got my BCABA, I enrolled in a master's program. Then after the master's program, then I got my BCBA. Then I went to Penn State for my PhD. Yeah.
Because you had all the costs involved in all these decisions, right? Like you had to pay your tuition, so
Oh
you
yeah.
were, so
So the
you
master's I
needed.
did,
Uh,
Penn State, my PhD, I was able to go for free. So I went on an academic scholarship because I did really well in my master's program. I did really well on our entrance exam for the graduate school. And all those things helped me. So I was able to go to Penn State for free. But it's a big commitment because, now you're further delaying, work or, real life in a way. I was a student at Penn State at 30 years old, 32 years old, 33, so.
what was the profile of your other colleagues? Like lots of young people, or it had like
Oh,
people
at
in
Penn
your
State,
age?
I was the second youngest one. So
Okay.
most people were a couple of years older than me. Some were a lot older than me. Some of them already had a family with kids. I didn't at that time. So some of them were, teaching or being behavior analysts for 10, 15 years, and then they went back to get their PhD. I didn't do it that way. So I was one of the younger graduate students.
Okay. But so it was not like many 20 kids, like
Nobody.
so they were more on their 30s,
40s, 50s.
40s.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started working as a BCABA, like an assistant, at a school.
Mm-hmm. At an elementary school for kids with autism.
Elementary.
Yeah. So I was a teacher's assistant at a high school. Because in the United States, if you are in special education, if you're a student in special education, you have the right to go until you're 21. So
Oh, I
a
didn't know that.
20-year-old, yeah, so they keep the kids in school longer. When I got the certification, and I got the new job, the principal thought it would be best to move me to another school, because this way I wouldn't know any of the staff. I would have like a fresh start. So she moved me to an elementary school. And there, I was a BCABA, but I was in the master's program to get a BCBA. I hadn't gotten it yet, but I had that base credential, and that's what got me in doing that.
And what was your job in the times you were at school? What did you do?
Yeah, so you would get a caseload, and they would be classrooms were assigned to you. So like all the kids in that classroom were your responsibility. Now, every kid has different needs. Some kids have problem behavior. The year I left, I think I had 6 classrooms, so around 40, 45 kids. It wasn't just me. Like I had teachers and, support staff, but some kids had educational problems that, you needed to help. Some kids had, severe problem behavior that you needed to deal with. So we were really doing a little bit of both. And some days I would work with teachers to rewrite programs and set goals so those kids could learn. Other days I was writing behavior plans and collecting data, graphing data for problem behavior. Other days, kids had, unique situations that needed attention. Maybe they had trouble walking in the hallway. Maybe, they had medical, they had to go to a doctor and they needed somebody to go with them. So you were doing a lot of everything, which was a great experience because now I got to see every part of what it means to be a behavior analyst, not just problem behavior or skill building or whatever it may be.
And you stayed there for like how long?
I was at that elementary school for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. And by that time, after that, that's when I started at Penn State, which was in 2014 for a Ph.D.
Oh, so you stayed there all the time that you did your master's and you passed your board exams, your BCBA.
Yes.
You were there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I got curious, how many hours you stayed at the school? Like 6 hours, 8 hours?
The kids stay 6. You're there.
Okay.
The staff would be there for 7.
Okay. So you guys need to arrive early and leave later and organize everything. So you were not like in class like all the time.
No, you were not assigned. So you, basically every day.
As a teacher.
No, right. I would go to every one of my classrooms multiple times a day, every day. So it was a lot of moving around.
Oh, so like every time that the teacher, like the main teacher of the class, like who is responsible for that class, needs you to solve something, they call you. It was something like that.
Similar to that, yeah. Or I would schedule ahead of time to meet with a teacher, and we would just review everything to make sure that, things were going well or whatever the case may be. But yeah, most of the time they just called you.
Oh, that's so an interesting way. And it was like special ed class.
So the school was primarily a school for kids with autism, but there were classrooms for kids with other developmental disabilities. But every kid enrolled had some form of diagnosis of some developmental disability.
And is this a public school?
It was a public school. So because the United States is not a very nationalized country, right? The states kind of do what they want. The state I live in, we have an excellent reputation for service provisions for, people with disabilities. It's one of the best in our country. So it was a public school that was funded by every town in the state. And each town would send the kids that needed those services to those schools. So everybody pitched in, but it was a public school. So anybody that lived in New Jersey could attend if they needed those services, which was nice.
Yes, really nice. So only kids who need something, they were at that school. It was not like a neurotypical schools.
No. These kids would need more services than a reasonable neurotypical school could be expected to provide.
But usually public schools, or I don't know, private schools. I know that private schools is not something so common like here in Brazil. No, not because here the normal thing is to go to private school. Like most of people they go, but like when they are like most parents, when they have some condition, like if someone has insurance, their kids probably go to private schools. So it's something more common, and we have private schools with different prices.
Sure.
So many people they can access. So in private schools and public schools, they have like an special ads class, something like that.
Yeah, we have those too, but it also depends what state you're in. So, for example, maybe Florida has more private schools than New Jersey, because New Jersey spends a lot of money on their public schools, a lot. And we pay our teachers comparably really well. So we have that too. But private schools also can say, we're not going to admit this kid. And they do that. And the public schools let everybody in. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not the same laws for private and public.
Right.
It has some difference. Here we have the same laws. Like you can have a private school, you can do whatever you want, but you need to respect some laws that everyone needs to. So that's a good thing, because they cannot like discriminate or say, oh, this kid will not come here, because this is really hurtful to don't have a place for your kid. Like it's not about money. You can have the money to pay, but they can say like, no, sorry, we can't.
Or they don't have the services available to help that kid, or there could be a million reasons. But the public schools, our public schools take everybody. And if you're an educator, it's better to work at a public school because you get treated better by the administration, you get a better paycheck. So there's benefits for both in our system here in New Jersey, of course.
Oh, that's a really good thing. So you left the school because you went to do your PhD, and you needed to have like full time for that.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to work while I was getting my PhD. So the deal they give you is they give you free tuition, free healthcare, and a part-time job through the university. And that's what you get when you were at Penn State. So that's what.
So you can pay your rent, or you have accommodations, or no?
No accommodations for graduate students. You had to pay your own, but it was affordable enough. So you're able to do it. I mean, you weren't doing well by any means, but you were okay enough. But that was and you had to move. So I had to leave my job and I had to move 4 hours away to attend school. That's what I did.
Okay. So you stayed there for 4 years?
4 years. Yeah.
4 years of this life.
4 years of that life. Yeah. I think we met. I think we might have met my last year at Penn State. My last year at Penn State. Yeah.
Okay. It has been a long time that since we know each other. Time is passing and we are not seeing that because of so many things, and COVID. Like we are 1 year of COVID.
I know. It's craziness. Yeah.
Time is passing. Okay. So your master's degree, when you did your ABA, your master's on it was ABA or special education with ABA? Because
It
I
was
know that it's common.
psychology,
Okay.
child and adolescent psychology. So
Okay.
the way I did my work was I did my bachelor's, I did the coursework, I did a master's, and I did a PhD with more coursework in behavior analysis than the lot. But my master's, the master's degree was child and adolescent psychology, which later on helped me understand better, family
Yes.
dynamics, family situations, other developmental disabilities that I was, previously unaware of. But there was no behavior analysis in my master's coursework.
And you did online or
Yeah,
person?
online. Yeah.
Online.
Yeah, because I didn't think I needed, where I live now, where I lived at that time rather, there weren't many in-person master's programs close to my house. So I would have had to have moved, and then I would have had to have found a job, and all of that is difficult. So online for me at that time was the better choice.
And your courses, they were like, you had courses to take, and they were like every 3 months. How is the organization of a master and a doctor? Because many people, they don't know how is this dynamic in the US.
Very different. So the master's courses, you would do 2 courses a semester. So we have 2 semesters, fall and spring, and then we have summer sessions. And you would do 2 classes in the fall, 2 classes in the spring, 1 class in the summer. And each class was worth 3 credits. And every master's degree has different, credit requirements. The master's in psychology has a 33 credit, requirement. The PhD was 12 credits a semester, and then 6 in the summer, plus research. And that was much more intense. The classes are always at night though, no matter what, people work. So your classes were at night, and most of the time that's kind of how it went. But you would do your work, or you would do your research during the day, go to class at night, and then do your schoolwork after that.
Mm-hmm. And the master's, like, that you did online, it was like live classes or?
Some of them.
Okay.
Some of them had live classes.
You could watch recorded if you cannot attend.
Yes, which is what most people, at least in the United States, do. They probably watch. I don't know that, but I'm speculating that's probably what most do.
Okay. And the doctoral, so you had classes like every day?
Almost every day. So I was there 4 years. I spent 3 of those years. I had classes. I had classes 3 or 4 days a week, 3 days a week usually, sometimes 4. And they were also at night, 3 hours long once a week. And then, the rest of the time you were researching or writing or teaching undergrads. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so at the doctoral program, you start to teach undergrads.
Yeah, you do. Everybody teaches, at least at Penn State. It's not the same everywhere, but at Penn State, you teach 1 semester, you teach an undergraduate course in an area that you feel comfortable with. And then you talk to the person teaching it and you say like, oh, I'm interested in teaching this. And then, you go ahead and do that. But everybody had to teach at least 1. Some people end up teaching more than 1 if that's what they want to, do more of when they graduate.
Okay. And your research, you did like, you were out somewhere, like at a school? How was it, this part?
Sometimes. So sometimes we would partner with a school, and we would go to the school, that we would get the appropriate, review committees and, all of that. And then we would go do a study in the school. Sometimes we would work with undergrads. Sometimes we would work with other graduate students. So it was really specific to the particular project you were working on. Most of my research deals with, working with undergrads and grad students at that time, at least. So that's how I spent my focus. And but I did do a few studies where we went to, schools and, worked with kids, but most of it was not that.
Be back at schools.
Yeah.
Remember your time. What is more difficult? Be at the PhD or be at the school being called all day long? What is more difficult?
Honestly, it depends. Probably both. Probably both for different reasons. The school was fun, but it was hard when so many people would call you at the same time. The PhD, getting a PhD, at least I had a wonderful experience, but it's hard being a student and that's your only job when you're 30 years old. That's difficult because you should be working, right? Everybody at 30 is doing something else and you're still in school. But they were both also a lot of fun in different ways.
Yeah, this part. That's why I asked you about the age, because like when you were in your 30s, like you were working already and you were not like in this environment in this academic environment. So it's really different. So you'll be like in your 30s and 40s, like, and be a mom, for example, in my case, and be still at school. It's something that it's really hard. Like, I don't know. They're like here, many people there that are on the masters and doctoral, they are like young. They leave university, so they are like 25, 28, maybe 24. Like they finish their bachelor's and they start already. So it has lots of this profile of students, but of course it has people under 30s and 40s.
Sure.
I don't know, but it's different. Like, so you passed it through all the states, like being a behavior analyst.
I did, yeah. The only thing I never got was the registered behavior technician,
Yeah,
because that wasn't invented when I
back then.
Back then, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And when you finished your PhD, what did you do? Like why did you want to do a PhD? Because you could stay like with your master's and your BCBA and run a practice or work at a school.
Yeah, I had a chance to work with Rick Cabina, and I had him as a teacher in my life before. That's how I met him. But I had a chance to work with him, and I thought it was the most exciting opportunity to get to do that, because I would learn so many things that otherwise I never would have learned. And I took the chance. So I financially, or career-wise, I could have stayed, and you're right, I could have opened my own. But the chance to work with Rick was really exciting to me. And I didn't apply to 10 schools to get my PhD. I only applied to one, the one Rick was at. And I figured if I didn't get in, I just wouldn't go. The nice part about behavior analysis is you don't need a PhD to be a behavior analyst. But I had a really exciting opportunity and I took advantage of it. And I said, let me try it. Worked out really well for me, I think.
And when you finish it, you already had like what I'm gonna do, like you already had settled?
No. So Rick started a company, Chartlytics, first, and he did that when I was a student. So I actually worked there part-time
that was your
for a
work.
while. That was my work, yeah. And then when I graduated that summer, I worked full-time, and that fall I worked full-time. But I was interviewing at schools, at universities, and I met a lot of wonderful people. But I had an interview with the University of West Florida, and I really like it there. I liked everybody. The program was exciting for me. There were so many exciting opportunities that, that was where I eventually landed. And I've been there since. But yeah, no, I didn't have a job. It's a lot to try to finish a dissertation, interview for jobs, fill out all your forms for graduation, and do all of that out, and then look for a new place to live because you can't stay in Pennsylvania anymore. That's a lot of work to all do at once. So.
Okay. So you started working at the University of Florida, is
West Florida.
As an assistant, a teacher assistant.
No, I am an academic administrator. So I teach 3 classes a semester. I teach measurement and single case design, supervision and personnel management, and concepts and principles of behavior analysis. And I teach at the graduate level. So I teach 3 courses. I research there. So I conduct research mostly in the areas of precision teaching and evidence-based education practices for graduate students. So, I'm sure you're familiar with something like direct instruction. Well, what happens if you use direct instruction with graduate students? Do you get good results? Things like that. So I do those things. And then I assist the associate director of the Center for Behavior Analysis with our adjuncts, with, program curriculum changes. So I do some, I work to try to make the program better with her and some other folks. But yeah, so I do all those things at the University of West Florida.
Okay. So that's your main job for the moment.
Yes.
Yes. Because it takes lots of hours of your time. Because when you are in classes or online classes, because the ones who doesn't know, you are in New York and Florida, the West Florida is in Florida.
Yes, and I am in New York. That is correct. Yeah. So I work from home. This is what my students see, the classroom behind you.
This is your classroom.
That's it.
And so you work there, but you also have a practice, not a business, actually not a private practice.
That's right.
But a business. So what else you get to do, or you got to do along with your job in West Florida?
Sure. So I supervise people that are looking to get their BCBA or BCABA certification. So I do that. I've been doing that probably 6 years now, on and off, but now more on. I also do for people that want to implement precision teaching into their, private practices. I also consult with those people to get that going. I also work with graduate students from around the world. If they want to do a precision teaching study for their, thesis, I will work with them because it's difficult for folks to find somebody that has that specialization in precision teaching. So I work with those folks. I've worked with folks from implementing precision teaching in Brazil, Canada, Russia, Germany. So there's people out there that are interested in pursuing those things. So I do that too.
Okay. Because you really like data. So
I love data.
So you want to stay with precision teaching, that it's all about measurement and taking data.
That's it.
So now you are able to have your in-home office, and also be in touch, connect everybody all around the world. So things were happening. So that's why you ended not getting back to a private practice or a school. This was a better path for you, a better opportunity.
Yeah, I miss it, to be truthful. I miss working with kids. But I also realized that if I worked with kids now, I probably wouldn't do a very good job because I have so many other things that are going on that I also love to do. So I think someday I'll get back to working with kids. I just don't know when that would be. So we'll see, but they're working with kids is a very rewarding experience too, for sure.
And do you sometimes receive like some families for consultation, or you're more like with students now?
I will get those kind of questions. I'm basically with students only now, graduate students, and my supervisees who are also graduate students. But yeah, I'll get those requests. There's such a big need for our field. It doesn't really matter what country you're in. It doesn't really matter what language you speak. There is such a big need. And I feel bad saying no sometimes, but there's only, like, too, you can only do so much in a day. And, you have to think about those things too. So yeah, you do get those offers, but I just don't have the time to really do a good job. And I know that, as much as I would love to have more time.
Because you designed like a way of working, I think, on supervision and being with grad students, like on research. So when you design a methodology to work and how you do things, and when you start from scratch, like with consultation, and if things are really different, it stays really difficult to connect all the dots and be good with everything.
Yeah, incredibly difficult, but I try to do the best I can and manage,
And you have many people who do supervisions for BCBA or BCABA. Even they having like clinics that they could work and they could receive supervisions, because it has this model in the US, right?
Yes.
But even like that, it has, so someone looks for you for your supervision, and you supervise them for it's counting hours for their BCBA. But how they do that? Because the client, like, you are responsible, right, for the client?
Well, yes. So it gets a little complicated because I'm not physically with them, but the treatment decisions they make, the supervisee, that I am responsible for those treatment decisions. Yes.
So you are in many cases, in a way or another, you are in many cases and seeing what is working, what is not. So you are not like physically with the kids or the client, right, but you are in many cases. So you come with the experience of many cases when you do like supervision.
Oh yeah. If everyone thinks about their own caseload, if they work with 7 kids, and I work with 6 supervisees at a time, that means 42 cases that at least I'm aware of, right? And yes, that has its own challenges, but yeah, for sure.
But we know that many things like they repeat also. And
yeah, I think it's manageable. It's really, supervision is more about teaching the supervisee how to be a behavior analyst and getting them to figure out, what to do next without your help, right? That's when you did a good job at that. So when they can do things without me, that's when I said, oh, now they don't need me anymore. They're good.
You are good with that. You don't give like prompts easily. You're not those guy like who give prompts without wanting to give prompts. Like, you are really
try not to.
you don't give like prompts without wanting.
That's right.
So you're good. You always wait to see what the student will say.
Try, yeah.
You are doing ABA with them, just changes the client.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's it. So Fale, it was great, like telling people and showing what you do. How was your path, like your journey to ABA, and how like people made the difference in your decisions. Like, you had two people in your life that made you,
Big decisions. Yeah.
yes, like go to a really different way that you like. You didn't have anyone in your family. Like it was something that you didn't even know that existed, but you have people who what they told you, it made sense. You like it, you enjoy it, and they made a difference. It's really good to
Oh, such
see.
a big difference. I was really lucky. I was certainly very lucky.
Yeah, that's not so common and not so easy to find, because we many people, they say, oh, I worked with bad people or didn't like, or anyone wants to teach me. And when you find people who can open the open ways, like for you, open a new word, like, and say, oh, you should study that, you could be good, like people don't do that a lot. Like
No,
I
no.
didn't, at least not with me, I didn't receive that, like people opening the way for you and say, oh, you would be good, study that, come here, I can help you. Usually people, they don't do that, so that's a good story, because we can see that it's still we have good people out there that could
A
help
lot of
us.
them. Yeah.
So it gives us hope and calms our heart. So it's really good.
Thank you.
And thank you. So thank you very much, Sal. And it's really good because I could know you, and you could help me with everything. So you were and you are still one of those people in my life who guided me and showed me something. So it was really, really nice. I'm really
I'm
happy
lucky to be here.
to have contact with